Welcome to the studios, Samantha Fish. We have finally gotten you in here.
Yes.
I've been waiting for this for a long time. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me. Thank you for having me.
And congratulations on Wild Heart, the new album. It's just really spectacular.
Thank you. I'm really proud of it still. I'm not totally sick of it, so everything's good.
You know, every once in a while when somebody's having some success, you say, well, you're on fire. And like you were literally on fire in the pictures, in the covers, in the liner notes.
We took some liberties with the artwork on this one.
Yeah, I am assuming that there was some Photoshop because...
Oh, no, we set that dress on fire. We did one take. That was all it took.
It's like that old Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck cartoon. It's a great trick, but you can only do it once.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
It was hard, man. I had to look really calm and surreal. And,
it's sort of like, that's the time when maybe it sinks into the Kansas City audience that you belong to the world because the art direction on this is really, out of this world.
It's crazy, I know. But, we worked on a few different things with some other artists, and we just kind of took a chance with a Kansas City photographer. That's actually who did that.
Very cool.
A guy named Dennis Gatz. And, he kind of does this really surreal artwork with the photos and everything. And my manager was like, let's give it a shot. And so that's what he came back with. I'm like, this is kind of cool. I mean, it sort of embodies the record, and it's a little different than anything we've done before. I think it looks like something you'd see in a record store. So.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny. We have this conversation upstairs all the time because we get hit with, we've just had a deluge of music over the last couple of weeks. It's hard to listen to everything. And, it's shocking to us how much you can, in fact, read a book by its cover.
Yeah.
The better the artwork, the more likely the music is to be worth listening to.
Oh.
So
that's the idea.
Yeah. So, we're as excited as we are about the CD. We're just like doubly excited about Saturday night at Crossroads KC, Bridge
excited.
Spirit of KC Fest. You're the headliner.
I'm so excited for that.
It's, of course, you, the Rainmakers, the Grizzly Hand, Late Night Callers, She's a Keeper, and Brody Buster.
Yep.
And, it's really a testament to the Kansas City music scene that, you can put together a lineup like that, and there's still a lot of other great bands to choose from for the next time around.
I know there's plenty. There's just plenty of talent in this city. I mean, there's so much music to go around. Yeah, next year they're not gonna have a hard time finding a good lineup.
I had heard this through the grapevine, and I just didn't really feel comfortable talking about it on the radio, but you've put together a pretty special band for Saturday night.
Well, because it's a special Kansas City event, and I'm in kind of a unique position right now with my band and my career that, we had this special show in Kansas City, and Katie Guillen and the girls, they didn't have a show that night. So, though we're not using the full girls band, Go-Go's still playing drums with me. We've got Claire Adams, and Katie Guillen is part of the rhythm section, and Katie's going to be playing the other guitar, and they're going to be lending their voices because on the new album there's a lot of really great female voices. And so we've had a couple rehearsals. I think it's going to be really cool. We've got some cool stuff planned.
Yeah, I mean, that's a bonus.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Special treat for Kansas City. So
this record is, I think it's a real departure for you, and I think that you felt like you kind of understood that you were growing and that you were ready for the next thing, and I know you've got a lot of love for everything that went before, but you reached out to Luther Dickinson of the North Mississippi All-Stars.
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, I was just at a point, and these songs, I was starting to write songs that were, I wasn't trying to fit into a genre that I thought that, this is what my label puts out. These are, what other artists put out in my genre. I need to, I just started kind of writing, and whatever came out was like, all right, this is who I need to be. This is what I should be. And I worked with the collaborator. We did some co-writing. And and then I took the songs to Luther, and Luther really just encouraged me. He's like, just be yourself, which was really, really cool. And I was like, wow, all right. I mean, who's that? So, I think we found it on the album, and I can't wait to make another album and continue working towards that and, having my own voice and my own sound.
You know, it's funny,
Okay.
doing the research, I felt like I came across 2 or 3 different points where different mentors had, because I think that Mike Zito at one point said, you know, it's not in the pedals. You know,
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. I mean,
it's in your hands.
I've had a couple different people tell me that. Like, Mike's told me that, and then Tab Benoit is another great pedal list player. He just plugs straight into the amp, no tuners or anything. I'm like, wow, damn. But yeah, no, he's right. The tone's in your fingers. It's not in your feet. So I've been trying to connect with that more, and I've got a great amp company I work with, and I've got a great guitar. I mean, if I can't get good sounds out of it, the problem's with me. So I just need to work with it. Yeah.
Well, we absolutely love the fact that you're in here and you've got a guitar in
Yeah.
your lap right now. So I think that people would much rather hear you play than me talk.
Oh, well, we got a couple songs today, right? So I'm going to start with Jim Lee Blues Part 1, which is on the album. It's an old Charlie Patton song. So here we go. Went away up the river, some 40 miles or more. I think I heard that big Jim Lee blow. Oh, he blow so lonesome, oh, like he weren't gonna blow no more. You know he blow like my baby, he was getting on board. Oh, my mama, he's dead. Ooh, and my father, well, he could be. I ain't got nobody to feel and care for me, no. Well, if you don't want me, ooh, honey, just to give me your hand, you know, you'll get a woman quick as I get a man. Oh, I lay my head, ooh, in a deceitful man's arms. Well, he laid his head back in mine. Oh, it was the moonshine. Ooh, honey, don't you pay me no more mind, 'cause I did not let no other man have mine. Oh, that big Jim Lee love keep on backing up and down. Oh, will you stand by the shore, well, when you're water bound? Ooh. All right.
You know, One of the things that's just great about this job is moments of pure joy, and because music does that, right?
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
that first time that you bent that string, it was just really
Aw.
made me so happy. Samantha
Thank you.
Fish is in our studios, and the new record is Wild Heart. It's on Roof Records, RUF, and of course, she's going to be headlining Bridge Spirit of KC Fest coming up this Saturday night over at the Crossroads. That song, you actually recorded in 4 different studios. That one was
Yeah.
at the Zebra Ranch, and there was sort of a reason that you went to the studio that day because you really wanted to explore sort of I think you phrased it as a jug band session.
Well, it was, a lot of my blues heroes came from that area. And Luther, that was one of the reasons I was such a big fan of the North Mississippi All-Stars, because they really, they kind of like came and redid a lot of that North Hill country stuff. They're from that area. They are North Hill country music. So, just kind of going to the place where that music is from and those players are. Actually, Luther and I took a drive before we went to the studio, and we went through Holly Springs and by where Arthur Turner had the picnic jam every year. And we drove through all the cotton fields and saw like the entire landscape, of where all those guys come from. And then we went to his studio. So I was like on cloud 9 and completely freaked out at the same time. And I got to work with him and Sade Thomas and Lightning Malcolm, and we just did this kind of unplugged acoustic session, and it turned out really cool. So it ended up on the record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny because I do love the record, and I love the fact that it's got that sound, and I hadn't heard that from you previously, and and I love artists that stretch and grow, but this is an album that's absolutely filled with really great original songwriting.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. You use, notebook, you use your phone.
Oh, yeah. Anything I can. It drives my band crazy. We'll be sitting in the car, and I'm like driving, and I'll think of a melody, and I'm just singing it into my phone, So a lot of the ideas, they come from, you use what you can to try and remember this stuff because you're not always in the most convenient place to write a song. Generally,
Most people are worried about texting and driving. You're out there writing
recording
songs
and driving. Yeah, I know. Don't pass me on the highway. You never know what I'm doing. But I do it as safe as I can. I'll record it and then I won't be typing. I'm not like trying to write the entire song right there, but you can't ignore it when you get struck with the idea. If I don't put it down right then, I won't remember it. I'll try to come back to it later, and I'll have no recollection of any of the words or the melodies. You got to capture it or it's gone.
I know you started as a player, but songwriting became pretty important to you pretty quickly.
Oh.
And I know you've got your songwriting heroes like Jon Hart.
Yeah. Well, I grew up listening to those guys, and my parents listened to a lot of Hyatt, and I listened to Tom Waits when I was a kid, so I was really into lyrics and putting stuff together. I loved English class for that, and I loved writing, and so this is a perfect job for me because I get to do that. But I love newer guys like Jason Isbell is one of my current favorite songwriters out there, just incredible, right?
Yeah.
I love songwriting. That's my favorite part, probably, of creating, music is getting to write lyrics. And
You got to have a conversation with Hyatt about songwriting.
I actually have.
Yeah.
We opened for him at the Uptown Theater a few years ago, and he was so nice to me. Like, I don't know, we had a little hiccup at the beginning, like that they didn't know we were a trio, and so the tour manager was like, oh, you guys can't play, and I was heartbroken, but then Hyatt and his assistant were like, oh, they can play, and he was really nice, and after the show, he was hanging out in a lawn chair behind the Uptown Theater smoking a cigar. And he came up to us, and I was like, wow, this is freaky. And so I just asked him about his process, which was kind of neat. He just told me he writes until he comes up with something good. And he'll write a lot of really terrible things, and then he'll come up with something good. I'm like, wow, that's awesome. Me too. I write a lot of terrible things. So, yeah, that's it. It's a muscle. You got to exercise it, and they can't all be winners. So you just keep writing till you find one that's decent.
It's funny. It's I was, in multiple places I came across the fact that there was a turning point in your life, and I think I was there that night.
Really?
Seeing Sheryl Crow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would think I was at that show.
It was a huge deal for me.
Yeah.
It was my first concert ever.
You're right.
I was 13. I was like, I can't believe I've never done this before. Yeah, she was amazing. I just never really, not only the fact that she was a female doing all that, but just somebody who she was running from piano to bass to guitar, and she was a rock star. I think she was wearing like a little white jumpsuit the whole time, and I was like, this is amazing. I want to do this.
Yeah.
I don't know, I guess I hadn't really fathomed being a guitar player or playing an instrument, and that's when I really was like, I got inspired. I think I picked up drums right after that. Timeline's fuzzy, but
Right. A couple
I
of
know
years
it's-
after the drums, you moved to guitar.
yeah.
And then at some point, and I don't know if it was before or after the switch, it's the little things. Stevie Ray Vaughan live on Austin City Limits.
Yeah. You know about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that, and at that point, I'd really only been playing chords and kind of singing along rhythmically, and like I started singing and playing at the same time, and I think the drums helped that because it helped my meter out, and the guitar kept my phrasing in check, and my phrasing kept the guitar in check. But then, I saw all these really cool lead players, and I wanted to do that. I was like, I want to be able to rip. And so I started practicing on it. It was really bad for a long, long time. So
Samantha Fish is in the studio, and the new CD is Wild Heart. And when we knew that it was coming, we instantly started bugging Samantha about sending us some music, and we got Roadrunner, and we started playing it. And having had some time to spend with the CD, I can tell you that we're going to go a lot deeper. There's a lot of really good music.
good cuts on there, right?
Yeah,
Thank you.
I don't know. It's one of those ones you don't know what to pick. It's all good.
You'll figure it out. You'll know which one.
Yeah. So we'd love to hear some of it live.
Okay. You want me to do? I'm going to do a song for you called "Go Home." It's one of the acoustic-ish numbers on the album. So. Daddy was a drunk and your mama ran away. Scenery's changed, but the story stays the same. Go home. Go home. Never spoke a word about the things they stole. Wrap those secrets round a telephone pole. Go home. Go home. Maybe in a moment of clarity, I see the light. Maybe I take my own advice for the first time. I've given too many nights to heartache and bloodshot eyes. Go home, oh go home, go home tonight. Reckless little lullaby sang herself to sleep. Who you gonna show when you're 6 foot deep? Go home. Go home. Girl was a friend of mine, thought she was immune. A wake-up call that came too soon. Go home. Go home. Maybe in a moment of clarity, I'll do what's right. Maybe I'll finally swallow a bit of my own advice. Oh.
That was really beautiful.
Thank you.
Samantha Fish in our studios today, that one called Go Home. And I mentioned this to you before we went on the air. But when your album was getting ready to drop, you did an interview with Tim Finn over at the Kansas City Star, and I really loved the article. It really made me feel like I kind of understood what you'd done and how you'd done it.
Yeah.
And he had talked about an emotional moment that had happened in the studio recording that particular song.
Yeah, yeah.
And so when I went to I'd read it weeks ago, right? And so then I'm doing the research and I've got the headphones on and I'm letting the new CD sort of pour over me, not paying tremendous attention because I'm doing research at the same time.
Right.
I just want to listen to it multiple times. So I've got it on in the background while I'm typing and, searching and blah, blah. And all of a sudden, I'm having this kind of almost like moment with this song that I'm half listening to.
Yeah.
And it was that song.
Wow.
And then when I went back and I reread it and I thought, okay, that's the song, So it was sort of, I think that it's just, it was like this nice little thing where you read about something and then it happens to you without you looking for it, It's
That's
just,
cool.
Yeah,
Well,
the way
I'm glad that one resonated with you because that was an important one for me to go on there. And yeah, I feel like it's, one of the heavier songs on there. Those girls did such a good job on the vocals.
Yeah.
They did,
Yeah, they really brought it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I was watching, I think that this is a particularly, nice thing to talk about because you're playing the Bridge Spirit of KC Fest on Saturday night.
Yeah.
And I was watching an interview that you did with another place somewhere like far-flung hinterland, and you said that you don't think that you could have built this career, done what you've done anywhere else other than Kansas City.
Well, it's such a unique town, and that there's a lot of music and there's a lot of support for live music, but it's not so oversaturated that you can't find a voice and find your own congregation of people. It's an amazing town. There's a really great balance here, because there's some other bigger music cities. I'm not trying to knock them at all because they got it going on as well, but it's harder to find your fan base, harder to stick out,
Right.
And in Kansas City, there's a lot of everybody's very supportive. There's always a little bit of competitive edge with with musicians,
Yeah.
but overall, most people were supportive, and they raise you up here. So I mean, I feel like there's
Speaking of raising,
right time, right place.
Yeah, speaking of raising you up here, your parents were a huge influence, and it kind of maybe started with your dad's jam sessions with his buddies, right?
Well, yeah, them and my mom sang in church, and she had us in the choir when we were kids, and she was like the choir leader, and she ruled it with an iron fist. So, we were her kids, so we were held to a lot higher of a standard than all the other 7-year-olds. But my dad, he had a really cool thing he did with his friends. They would come over and they all played guitar, and it's mostly like acoustic stuff, and he would just go back and forth and play like a bluegrass song, and then one would play a country song, and it was just kind of like a social thing to drink to, and it was fun for him, and I always wanted to be a part of it, and I never so when I picked up a guitar, it was like me joining the adult social circle, and I got to play with them. So that was, it was always around, the whole musical thing. It was everywhere.
This is going to be a little bit unfair, but speaking of Kansas City and important people to you, I'm thinking that you might be able to guess where I heard of you first.
Where?
Frank.
Oh, yeah. We didn't talk about Frank and them down there, man. I mean, that's my home.
Yeah.
Like, I'm more comfortable there than I am on my couch sometimes. I grew up at Knuckleheads. I did, I mean, I really, they took me in when I was like 17. I had to be there with an escort, of course, but it was like they really encouraged me, and especially Frank and Pete. They really pushed me to play with people. That's how I met Mike Zito. I mean, really, that's how everything started for me was Knuckleheads. Like, I met my friends there. I met Mike, and I started networking about 19, and then Mike kind of put my name out there for another tour, and that's how my career started. So yeah, I mean, it really boils down to that place and Frank. And
So when Frank told me about you, he said, you know, she plays guitar and she comes in to the club and she goes up to the stage and she's standing there studying. And then the next time she plays, you can see what she learned.
I think I creeped Michael Burks out one night because he's like, "Hey, you were just like watching my hands." And I was like, "I'm sorry, I have to stop doing that." No, I would. I'd go in there and I'd watch. That's how I learned, and I get so inspired. Sometimes I felt like I had to leave halfway through a really good show so I could go home and practice. And I'd get really inspired and excited to play, and give me all kinds of ideas. And that was where I learned, you know.
Yeah. So, and Frank, you know, kind of pushed you on stage.
He did, yeah. I was so scared. I probably would have never got up there.
And I'm sorry to ask this question, but the answer is so great, I got to do it. Can you tell us about your very first gig at Knuckleheads?
I knew this would come back to bite me at some point.
You know, the thing about it is it's such an endearing story. People
Yeah, it's
will
so
love
endearing.
you for it.
Okay, let me just set it up first, so you're not like, what? Frank called me. I was probably 19. I was still delivering pizzas and stuff. And he called me. He's like, look, there's this Hannah Montana concert at the Sprint Center. But, you know, the ticket brokers bought all the tickets, and they jacked up the prices so nobody can go. Like, his nieces couldn't go. So he's like, so I'm throwing him a Hannah Montana party at the club. Will you learn a bunch of Hannah Montana songs and come down and pretend to be her and sing for him? And me, like, I'll do anything for Frank. I was like, okay. So for 3 days, I did nothing but listen to Hannah Montana and practice these songs. And yeah, I thought I got pretty good at them. But then I get to the show, and these little, like, 5-year-old, 7-year-old girls, they ate me alive. They were really mean. They come up to the stage, and they're like, you're not as good as Hannah Montana. I was like, shut up. This is for you, you know. It was horrible. It was great, but I still have the T-shirt.
Yeah?
I still have the T-shirt. Yeah, the Hannah Montana night.
Wow. So I guess, you know, when I read that, and I do think it's a really endearing story, but the question that I really was sort of racing through my mind is, like, now that it's all over and it's in the rearview mirror, are you happier that you bombed, or would you have, you know?
I'm so glad I bombed.
Yeah.
Because
right?
if I really did good at that, who knows where I'd be right now? I might be a Hannah Montana impersonator, you know.
Yeah.
I might be doing that. There's probably some money in it. You know. I'm glad I didn't do well. No, but I remember there was one little girl who was really sweet. And she got up on stage and danced, and she kind of made the whole night all right. She like led the other kids. She's like, "Come on, let's make it fun." Thank God for her, right?
Yeah. 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 So, you know, you keep growing and you keep changing. So you started working on keyboards. You also lap steel.
Yeah. Well, I bought one, and then it sat at my house for a while, and then I saw Luther play it in the studio, and I was like, I should work. He played mine, actually. I brought it to the session. I was like, I can't do this, but maybe you can. And he did such a good job. I'm like, I have to learn how to play this. So I've been working on it, and yeah, it's so much fun. It really makes you visualize the guitar in a different way.
So you talked about watching Luther in the studio and just some of the other things. Are you a studio rat in the making?
A studio rat? I hope
Yeah.
so. I love it. I really do. I love going in there. I get so, I look forward to it. I haven't had the opportunity to do as much as obviously playing live, but, you know, to go in and create something, you get really excited about it. And then nobody, you know, I had this album before anybody, and I was so excited, and just, I felt like I'd made this huge thing and nobody knew about it yet. And it feels like that every time. It's really, I don't know, it's just an inspiring experience. I'd love to continue going into the studio, and I learn and I grow a lot when I go in there.
Well, and you're not afraid to experiment. I mean, okay, so the cigar box guitar, the oil can guitar,
Yeah.
And then, of course, there's the opposite end of the spectrum. You have the Fishicaster,
Yeah.
which, anybody can have one. All they have to do is plunk down $2,465 plus shipping and handling.
It's not that bad. I mean, come on. I know,
it is such a beautiful guitar.
He sold a couple of them, which I'm all for.
And, it's like, I know that everybody is all about, the cutaway of the fish.
Yeah.
But, I've never heard anybody talk about the part of the cutaway in the body of the fish that really sells it for me. And that's the little bubbles coming out of the fish's mouth. I mean, those little bubbles. Those little bubbles slay me.
I know, it's so silly, right?
No, but it's the thing that takes it from being graphic design into something that's like this living, breathing thing, right?
I know, we had it on there. I was like, I've been drawing these little fish on my papers since I was in 3rd grade, and all the fish have bubbles coming out of their mouths. So he sent it to me. I was like, well, it's got to have bubbles.
Wow.
Sure, yeah. I don't even think about the bubbles.
Yeah, I love the bubbles. It's my favorite part. In the description, and by the way, if you are interested in picking up one of those, the website is DelaneyGuitars.com. You can check it out. And even if you don't buy one, they've got just a beautiful picture of it. And it's a tremendously cool looking instrument.
Check it out.
The SF1. But when I read the description, I think, and I may be paraphrasing here because I was doing this pretty fast, but the description included something like the phrase thorough, and we mean thorough testing.
Yeah.
So they were either praising you for your work ethic or they were saying, wow, was Samantha difficult?
No, I broke it. I punched holes into that fish. Like the first one that I have, if you look really closely, like those little bones are glued in, and we had to go back and make the actual wood twice as thick. So all the new models have the thicker wood, but I'd be playing, and I don't know how I put my hand through it, but I put my hand through it 3 or 4 times, and so now it can't do that. That's the thorough testing.
Yeah, okay.
Because he's like, why are you doing this to these guitars? Why are you punching it? I don't know.
I'm Samantha Fish.
I don't know if it was straight up,
Yeah.
You do crazy things.
The new CD is called Wild Heart. It is absolutely a phenomenal piece of work.
Thank you.
And I'm sure that's going to be at the merch table Saturday night.
Absolutely, yeah.
At Spirit of KC over at Crossroads KC. And we'd love to have one more song if we could.
Okay. Did you figure out which one you wanted?
I want, you can't make me choose between your children.
Understood. All right. All right, I'll do it for you. This is a song. It's the title track off the album. It's called Wild Heart. Gotta be bigger than this burden of mine. Call it a nasty habit or a way to get by, but you and my wild heart. Peace in the middle, been missing for days, searching for reasons to push you away, but you had my wild heart. What's it gonna take? When's it gonna break? How many times do you need to see if you can tame the one you can't tie down, the one who needs you now? Oh baby, why can't I get you out of my wild heart? My wild heart. Oh. Starting fires, I can't keep my nose clean. All these distractions, they keep me wandering, but you and my wild heart. Asking God for favors, I only pray when I'm low. Just when I stop believing, it's time I ought to roll, but you and my wild heart. Oh. What's it gonna take? gonna break? How many times do you need to see if you can tame the one you can't tie down, the one who needs you now? Oh baby, why can't I get you out? What's it gonna take? When's it gonna break? How many times do you need to see if you can tame the one you can't tie down, the one who needs you now? Oh baby, why can't I get you out of my wild heart? There is no last note, but we'll do it anyway.
Oh, that was
Thank
just
you.
spectacular fun.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
You know, it's funny. A lot of times I think that sometimes the anticipation of an event is as good as the event itself. And I had lots of anticipation, but I think the event itself was the topper here. This has been great.
Oh,
so
man,
much
thank
fun.
you so much. I'm really excited about this, and I'm really honored to be a part of it. The thing coming up this weekend, and I'm just really excited to see, show Casey what we've been working on, because we haven't been in town since the springtime, and we've been working on the set and got some surprises in store. So I'm thrilled.
Yeah, it's going to be so much fun.
Yeah.
Samantha Fish, your headliner at the Bridge Spirit of KC Fest with the Rainmakers, the Grizzly Hand, Late Night Caller, She's a Keeper, Brody Buster. It is all this Saturday over at Crossroads KC. And I just cannot urge you strongly enough to go over to the merch table and pick up Wild Heart. It's the new disc on Roof Records, and it's absolutely great from start to finish. You can find out more about Samantha at samanthafish.com.
Thank you.
This has been golden. Thanks so much.
Thank you. We'll have to do it again soon.
Yeah, it's Samantha Fish on the Bridge.
Thank you.